So I wanted to do a drawing that wouldn't necessarily be something that I would come up with on my own. And how I decided to do that was by rolling a dice to decide to what degree my character was of each trait. And rather than doing an either or, I decided that it would be funner to do a scale of which each trait was. So say since I rolled a 4 for piercings, she would only have a few rather than having none or a bunch. So after rolling the dice, I decided she would be a human tomboy, cyborg with natural hair, a few piercings, and a nerd rather than a punk. When I started this drawing, I was actually really excited because many of the traits didn't really make sense together, but I thought that if I portrayed them right, they would actually work really well. So when I started doing the pose, I knew I wanted her to have a book and glasses to portray that nerd factor for her character design. So I made the pose to where she's holding a book in one arm and pushing her glasses up with the other. And since she's supposed to be a cyborg, I made her joints balls rather than just a regular arm like a regular human would have, to kind of portray more of a robot feel rather than her being a human. With the hands, I kind of struggled because I was trying to figure out how to have that ball joint with the hands too, but nothing I was doing turned out right or looked good to me. So I ended up just making the fingers look like a separate piece to the rest of her hand rather than making them have ball joints. So I'm just gonna struggle with those fingers for a few more minutes, stall by doing the wrist joint, go back to the fingers, try a few more times, keep trying, and I think I have it. So that looks good. I'm gonna move on now. So for the shirt, I wanted her to have a very tomboy feel. So I gave her a button up with rolled up sleeves. So for this next part of the drawing, I don't really know what to say. You've already seen me draw a robot arm, so I'm just gonna use some YouTube magic to fast forward that part. Oh yeah, I forgot, I don't have that yet. So here's me drawing the second arm. And for the hand pose, I wanted to make it look like she was pushing her glasses up. I don't know if how I did the fingers, if it really looks like that, but I think it's still a cute pose even if it looks like she's just touching her glasses in a very odd position. So now I'm working on her glasses that are humongous because her eyes are going to be very large too because of the style I'm doing. It's a very cutesy, very chibi style. And for her legs, I messed up and they look really, really bad. Like they look like sausages that are coming out of her shorts rather than actual legs. So I ended up making them smaller and closer together so they would look a bit more like actual legs and not whatever I was making before. She has very small feet. I'm just noticing how small they actually are. So I knew I wanted her barefoot because she is a robot. Her feet are made of metal, so she doesn't need the protection of shoes. So I failed really bad because I'm really bad at drawing feet and I'm even worse at doing toes. So let's just go with whoever created her decided to not give her toes because I can't do them, and I thought it would look better if I just skipped them rather than struggling. So the glasses ended up being too small. I know that's very surprising because of how big I made them, but I wanted the eyes to be really huge, so I ended up having to make the glasses even bigger. For the eyes, I knew I wanted to put gears in them to give her that robotic feel, and so I left the pupils white for now. I knew I wanted to give her short hair because if she's running around playing sports with the other kids, she doesn't need hair getting in her eyes, messing up her final win while she's playing sports. on her knee, I gave her a little metal plate to show that she has been rough and tumble and has gone in for repairs because she won't let anyone stop her when. To portray that she has been playing sports, I tried to put a ball next to her leg. It was originally going to be a soccer ball, but every time I tried to draw it, it did not turn out good. I looked up a reference, everything. I could not get the soccer ball to look right. So I ended up giving her a basketball, which I still struggled with, but I think it looks a lot better than whatever that soccer ball was. I put some tufts of grass on either side of her legs so that she would have a field to play on. And since she has to have a piercing, I could not find a type of earring that I thought was good at the bottom of her ear, so I ended up giving her a couple of hoops at the top. I thought about a nose ring, but that did not look good or end up well. So I ended up just leaving her nose alone and gave her a gear earring because I thought that would be cute since she's a robot if her earrings look like little gears. So I usually draw mythical creatures. So to give them a more dreamy look, I will use a color that's darker than the color that I'm gonna fill it with. So say like if I was doing a character that had like pink skin, then I would outline their skin in a dark pink. But because this character, she's an android, I wanted her to have a darker, harsher outline to kind of give her that more not really living feel, if that makes sense. And also the colors I was going to be using for her were a lot darker and harsher than the colors that I typically use. So I wanted to make sure that the details weren't lost, especially since her joints have details and her leg has that metal plate that I don't want to get lost, and other small details like that. So I don't really know what to say for the rest of the time that I'm doing my outline, so I'm just going to go over here and practice my YouTube magic. YouTube magic. YouTube magic. Magic, magic. Come on, work. Magic. Come on. Hey, it worked. So now I'm going in with my markers. I usually use colored pencils because I like the look they have. I think they make the drawing look more natural, if that makes sense. But again, with the whole she's a robotic character, I thought the harshness of markers would be nice. I know I was supposed to do the hair a natural color, but I forgot until I had most of the hair already done. And honestly, I think the dark blue looks a lot better than auburn or blonde or her being a redhead, especially since I didn't have a gray in my marker set, so I ended up doing her skin a light blue. And I think the different shades of the same color looked good, especially it kind of added a sense of her being an android into the drawing, which I thought was kind of nice. And don't worry about the skin and that left side of the hair being the same color. I am going to go back and fix that. But I was trying to make it look like that side of her hair was shaved a bit lower than the other side. But I thought it blended in too much whenever I started doing the face. I actually think that deciding to do the skin blue rather than gray actually works for the character, because it brings out that tomboy personality to me for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it really works, and I think the character actually looks really good blue. I decided to leave the joints white because I wanted them to look like they were a separate piece from the rest of her skin. I also left her metal plate white, and I was originally going to leave the skin behind the lenses of her glasses white, but then I decided that looked weird and it made it look like a separate piece. So I added some colorless blender and blue to make it a little bit paler so that it looks like there is a piece of glass in between the two. I made the lenses of her glasses darker and thicker so that they would be easier to see and also a bit cuter. I wanted her notebook to look like those ones that you always see at the beginning of the school year at Walmart with the little like speckles. I don't know, I didn't really get it right, but I think it still reads as a notebook, hopefully. I also made it yellow because I think that's the most common one, and also it looks good with the blue. I knew I wanted to give her a plaid shirt, so I went back with one of my thicker microns and added some hatching marks to her outfit so it would look more like a plaid shirt rather than just a plain button-up. And I think it makes her look more mature for some reason. I made the rolled up sleeves and the collar a bright red so that it would look like the inside of the shirt is a slightly different color from the outside of the shirt. And for the rest of the shirt, I used this auburn because it was the only other red I had, and I actually really like the color and I think it makes the shirt look really good. But with the hatching marks, it kind of looks like steak, which is a bit weird. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with her outfit. For the shorts, I wanted her to look like she was wearing boy shorts, so I gave them a white stripe down the side so that it would look a bit more like a pair of boy shorts that I've seen. And with that, the drawing was pretty much done.